Hi everyone, this is Nathan Tusher, and I wanted to show you a new feature that we've added to Aplos NCA and how to use it. It's how to calculate partial AUCs using the web interface. And I'll show you a couple things, how it works in the web interface, and then how you can manually update it using the configuration as well. So if you log into your Aplos NCA account and you come to the input data, I'm going to show you on this sample set of data here. So I have some sample data that I can plot. So I'll just open it up, and in this plotter, we can look at the data before we actually analyze it. So I choose the time column for time and concentrations. And I'm going to just show a single profile here. I'm going to turn off the legend to make it easier. And so you can see that we have some samples. It looks like it peaks about 4 hours, and then it falls off after that. And it's maybe every hour or so there's a sample, and you can see there's different subjects like this. And so what partial AUCs are used for is when you want to know the area under a portion of the profile, not the entire profile. And this is often used when you're doing work with different kinds of formulations, and you need to know what how much drug is absorbed in the early parts of the curve, because you could have slow absorption or fast absorption, and the partial AUC during the early time points is what can help you compare across formulations. And so what we're going to do is show you how to analyze this data and add partial AUCs. So we'll close this Data Explorer, and then we'll go ahead and we'll start doing the analysis. And so this is single dose, it's extravascular. The dose is actually in the data set, in the dose column. So we'll just select that there, use data column, and select dose. And I'm going to jump over to the columns, and this is where we identify where the subject identifier is, the time point, the observed concentration. So these are the concentrations that are usually in text. It includes things like BLQ designations so that we can count up how many BLQ samples there are. And then the analyzed concentration is one where you've then imputed the BLQs to be 0 or missing, depending on your rule set. So we've got all that set up. So there's a tab here called partial AUC. So you can click on that, and you have 4 pieces of information that you need to enter. So there's a name, then there's a code, then there's a start time and an end time for the partial AUC. So the name is a long name for the AUC that's displayed. For example, AUC all. The code might be AUC_all, but then the actual name is area under the curve from time 0 to the last sample. So the name can be something long. So we're going to just call this partial AUC1, and I'm going to have code be PAUC1. And so it's easier when you're coding. If you need to pull it out later, PAUC1 is a param CD code that you can pull out, and then the parameter if it's a full name. And so we're going to say this is from 0 to 3 hours, and then we can click the plus here. Now you can enter as many partial AUCs as you would like. And so maybe we want to go to 3 to 6 hours. And let's do another one that, let's say we actually want to know, well, what it is from 1.5 to 3.5 hours. So they don't have to necessarily be attached to each other. They can be overlapping. And so once you do that, and if you want to delete one, you can go ahead and delete it. You can add as many as you'd like here. It'll just keep listing them out. Once you've done that, you can click the execute button and start the analysis. So I'll go ahead and click that execute button, and it will initiate the analysis. And so what it's done is it's taken this information, put it in the configuration text file, submitted it up to Aplos NCA, saying, hey, that data file, I want to analyze this, but I also want to include these partial AUC values to be calculated. All the partial AUCs are calculated using the linear method, and we use linear interpolation between 2 data points. We do not extrapolate outside of the data. So if you select time points that are outside of your data, for example, if your data ends at 8 hours and you ask for a partial AUC to 9 hours, it will not calculate that partial AUC because it doesn't extrapolate. So there we can see it's done. These were 10 profiles. So we'll go ahead and download those results. And we can go ahead and open those results. So here are those downloaded results. And we go in and we have our inputs here, which is normal. There's the configuration, the sample data. And I want to show you the configuration. We'll open it with a text editor. You can open it in Notepad or whatever you choose. So I'm on a Mac. So this is an editor that I use, Sublime Text. And what we'll scroll down, and there's something called partial AUC. So you can see here, this entry this is the section that defines the partial AUC. So we say, hey, we have some partial AUC values, and then each array, each set of 4 is 1. So here's the first set of 4 where you have a name, a code, a start time, and an end time, and so on. So you can add as many as you want. So if you're manually constructing your configuration, you just have to have the partial AUC command in there. So we'll go ahead and close that, and then we'll go ahead and look at the output. And so I'll look at the PK listing here. So this is the best fit parameters for all of the subjects. And I'll expand some of these columns so that you can see everything. And I will zoom in a bit. It starts listing all these parameters. They're sorted by the param code. And so our param code was PAUC. And so here you can see for that subject, the 3 partial AUCs were included. You can see that the third one I didn't name very well. That's not what I really wanted to name, but that's what I typed in. But you can see it does the calculation, and it actually includes the units there for it as well. Now, it does make sense. This first one was 0 to 3 hours, then 3 to 6. That included the Cmax usually, so it's bigger. And then we had 1.5 to 3.5, so it's somewhere in between those two. So that makes sense. If we scroll down and find the second subject, we will see that there are their partial AUCs. So now let me close that. All of these parameters are included in the outputs as well. So if you take the summary, this is summarizing the parameters. If we scroll down, we will find the 3 partial AUCs summarized. I'm not finding them this second. There they are. We scrolled past them. So here's partial AUC 1, 2, and then the third poorly named one. And we have those, the summary statistics across all 10 subjects. So let's say, hey, we want to fix that, and I want to update that analysis and correct that. So here I load the same analysis I just executed. I load it for a new execution. It's going to load all that information into the user interface for me. And then I can go in and make a modification. So this is one that I wanted to change, this 1.5 to 3. I can't edit it, but I can actually just type it in here. Partial AUC 3 and PAUC 3, 1.5, 3.5, and I can click plus on this one, and then I'm going to delete this first one that doesn't have that 3 on it. Let's go ahead and delete it, and then re-execute this. Going to submit a new configuration to the same data set. It's going to run the analysis, and we can download the results, and then we can see that that name has been changed. So wait a few more seconds here for this to finish, and then I can show you the results. Now you might notice this runtime is going to go up to about 30 seconds, and then it'll drop down to 10. Runtime is the actual time of the run. And then after it completes, it resets to the time it took on the server to actually execute the analysis. So the difference is there's some upload and download time as you're uploading the configuration and then as you're downloading the results. So we're going to come in here to the outputs and look at this PK listing again. And there you have it. I have PAUC3 and partial AUC3. So now the name is the correct name. And that is how easy it is to do partial AUC with Aplos NCA on your next analysis. And this is available today. And if you don't have a subscription, give us a call. We'd love to give you a trial subscription. You can try it out today.